The entity is engaged in ongoing amplification while the people of the state are crossing paths systematically all around the office and amplifying while flying in circles now around my office. This is where they're concentrating activity like they were doing around my apartment, okay? Flying over and around, that's P.O.C. And that is you, Kim. And this is flying over here. This is called demonic pacing, but it's also terrorism on its face. Okay, the entity that's stalking you in helicopters. This is America's version of terrorism. But the relevant context is that this is actually demonic activity that's practiced by a government, engaging in what is significant in the engineered light. This is the light source that's directly over. Okay, the natural environment is not such that the sun is rising and setting, which is what the documentation shows at one address. You're paying attention to what I'm facing. I'm facing building 1810. I was at my apartment building, and the light source was hovering directly above my head as I stood on the third floor at building 1806, making a grand departure from being directly over the top of my apartment building over my head in its zenith, maintaining that same presence as I walk to a different location at the same exact property where the light source is supposedly rising in the morning. That's P.O.C. So what you're looking at is relevant to crossing path right over here and crossing path over here, while in the office, the entity is amplifying the ongoing sound, the ongoing chorus of helicopter activity. That's also communication of a threat, but it's amplified audible activity while demons are pacing all around in the sky space and on the ground. Walking in the engineered light is P.O.C. What you'll see in the documentation also, Amazon Prime, there's a picture of their logo. That's documentation of what is Amazon Prime. Group stalking me while they're also delivering packages around a relevant position. That's what they're doing. They're crossing path while I'm walking downstairs. The light source remains over me as I walk downstairs. You're crossing path, you're group stalking, bearing a logo on your vehicle while you're with the rest of the people of the state, the rest of the demons that are monitoring with LAPD, that's the state, driving on Alvarado, which is what Amazon Prime is doing with knowledge of the fact of what I'm doing. Understand the significance of the environment. It's entirely a phenomenon, and this is maintaining real-time knowledge of every move that you make everywhere that you're going. So you have what are demons that are driving vehicles attributed to companies, and they are literally engaged in that literal real-time tracking behavior, strategically being placed in the path to communicate a threat, by the way, with knowledge of the fact of what you're documenting. All of this is ongoing real-time knowledge. So I just want to document that. It is, again, 2:34 p.m. That is you, Kim, of 1808 North Alvarado Street, apartment number 2, who was crossing path in concert with LAPD, doing what all of the people of the state that live at this property do on a systematic basis 24 hours a day. That's why all 59 units are subject to federal prison. They're also engaged in what is state surveillance. They maintain real-time knowledge of the private information of those that are protected by federal statutes regarding their personal information, social security numbers, addresses, bank accounts, former residences, names of minor children. All of this private information is also what is distributed among this entity that's engaging in this criminal system together. And the entity is engaging. It's 2:22 p.m. So I just walked out so you can see what I'm continuously updating. It is 2:35 p.m. The entity again flying over at what is 2:32 p.m. And as I document, the entity does it again. As I document, the entity does it again. As I go from my office to my apartment, the entity is doing it over around my office. And you see the light source, which is over me at my apartment. As I'm at my office, the light source is over me at my office. That's how you know they're stalking me. It's the environment is stalking, the entity is stalking you while they maintain that environment. And these are demons that do that. And this is a police department. This is the government that's using helicopters. This is entirely demonic, even in the decision to use helicopters to engage in the P.O.C. Understand? This is the intent to engage in psychological torture. This is what Speaker Companies is engaging in. This is what Speaker Companies is facilitating, right? Speaker Companies is directly engaged in the state's criminal system. They are engaged in what is, it's plethoric with regard to the federal policies that Speaker Companies, Todd Speaker, the employees specifically named, engaging in what is violation of multiple federal policies while this criminal system is underway in concert with the corrupt government that uses helicopters to place you under surveillance, which is revealing what is America's version in the not so free society while they're placing you under surveillance. And then you're looking at the true attitude of those that surround you. And they are of a specific condition. This is demonic activity. They have a very specific condition, and they are engaging in what is criminal and also showing what is hidden, concealed hostility toward those that are not of that same condition, that are not under that same influence. And I'm referencing the demonic. Okay, that's what is inspiring this criminal system. So when you want to sit back and pontificate about the criminal conduct and why this and why that, I'm telling you why. And it's also shown through the environment. The light activity is the personification of the demonic, the impossible light activity, also the light source that's present from the beginning to the end of the day. That's impossible to naturally occur. I'm letting you know this is a demonic environment. This is demonic behavior. What is inspiring this criminal system, all right, this level of malice, All right, this level of concealed conduct as an entity is demonic activity. It's the demonic. That's why. That's why they're engaging in this criminal system. Okay? It is literally the practice of evil by a government that is concerned with, which this country needs to pay attention to. The government that's practicing this demonic system is very much concerned with keeping you under surveillance. While laws are being changed, policies are being changed and affected, they have an ongoing agenda to keep you under surveillance and to threaten and silence those that either expose it or contest it. That is relevant to the future of this country. It's relevant to the safety of those in this country. It's relevant to what we call free and the rights that you are unwittingly and voluntarily forfeiting as you understand how things work right now. Okay? So when you're learning about things such as the P.O.C., Federal Group Stalking and Monitoring, this is providing a greater context with regard to what's actually going on, to what actually is the focus by the government that's engaging in this, with a real-time agenda with regard to updating and changing the ways that we even look at the law and the operation of law and what laws need to be in place, while they're all outside of the bounds of the law. But it's serving for what is a futuristic mind state with regard to how things are going to work in this country. So I'm just going to leave that alone. I'm going to leave that there. Okay. But this is criminal conduct by the government, and the entity is repeatedly flying over me as I'm subject to this criminal system, and it isn't directly incriminating to the rest of the people of the state. Kim, again, Kim, that's an Asian male. He is inside of apartment number 1808, number 2. Kim. He's engaging what is group stalking at what is 1810 North Alvarado Street, and it's 2:38 p.m. The entity is maintaining a light source over me, for example, on April 29th. Again, heavily documented because I remained in Fontana when the entity engaged in criminal summoning. But even today on it's May 2nd, 2024, on May 2nd, 2022, I capture images inside of the Upland Public Library where you will see the light source, and this is the entity that's listening to me document, while you will see the light source inside of the Upland Public Library as I capture images at 4 o'clock. But you are looking at the light source here over me, arriving again as I'm laughing at LAPD and they fly over my office because they're listening to that and they're demons. And the entity is doing so under the light source at 12 o'clock, and it remains here until after 6. Okay, that phone call was, again, both audible activity for monitoring. This is also the entity that wants me to stop talking about what I'm about to talk about. Okay, understand that real-time knowledge while they engage in the elements of monitoring. That is third-party group stalker Luke Powell, who's going to federal prison, okay, who's move in, move out, was the subject of the email controversy. That's a matter of criminal conduct while engaged in state surveillance. So I'm talking to speaker companies about it, and the entity, he's a part of the entity, they know exactly what's being spoken about the email. So I'm going to call, this is the psychotic behavioral pattern, the pattern of conduct, the criminal system. I'm going to call a resident, talk to them about their need to pay less rent based on what SCI told me at the entity, Kimberly Fletcher, in the email. He knows what the email says. He knows exactly what I'm calling to tell him. And he's also aware of what I'm talking about right now. The timing of the call is within the pattern of conduct. And this is the reality of what this entity is engaging in. This same conduct, this private information in violation of existing federal laws governing federal policies, the privacy that American citizens are subject to when you're not only a federal government housing recipient, but an applicant, and dealing with and storing and maintaining the privacy of those. Their SCI and the employees, the people of the state that are group stalking, all of the entity, including commercial actors like Amazon Prime, they know what's being exchanged with regard, because they're monitoring me. They're violating those existing policies. So as I document, that's prosecution for additional federal prosecutions. I'm just saying. It is currently 2:41 p.m. The entity is maintaining a light source today in 2022, like I was stating before. This third-party group stalker engaged in what is the elements of monitoring, but nonetheless wants to be a distraction, wants me to stop talking about what I'm talking about. The light source is over the Upland Public Library, and you'll see that in still images after 4 o'clock. You already know, and that's today in 2022. That's what's documented, what I did today as of 4 p.m. And you're looking at the light source that's here over me while LAPD is engaging in, for I believe, the 17th time, flying around wherever it is that I'm at. They're flying around my office now, amplifying it inside of my office. When I'm in my apartment, the light source is over me at the apartment. They're amplifying it inside of my apartment. All right. So yes, that third party knows exactly what I'm talking about when I'm talking about it. There's no sun that's going to be over the Upland Public Library while it's remaining here from the beginning to the end of the day. And also you have what is repeating the same conduct while they're listening to me, which is audible activity, ongoing real-time knowledge, no contradiction where the light source is present. That's this P.O.C. This is monitoring. Thank you for calling Alvarado Gardens. This is Erica speaking. How can I help you?
Erica, it's Luke Powell, 1816, apartment 5. You just called me.
Yes, I did. Thank you for calling me back, Luke. How's it going?
Good.
Good, good, good.
I'm just at work.
Uh-huh. All right, so I just wanted to call you and let you know, this is audible activity. I did receive you guys' rent checks, and I wanted to let you know that you guys actually pay less rent than what was initially quoted to you, so I didn't want to cash your checks, because I only need, let me get you the exact dollar amount. Hold on. You're only going to pay $914.28 plus like a couple of dollars. So instead of me cashing you guys, I'm not going to scan you guys' checks. I'm going to give them back to you. Because yours actually, I need Thanusha's phone number and Kyle's phone number as well. Yours is the only one I have because you were already here. You know, but 900, let me add this up for you. 914.
Well, hold on one second.
So it will be $917 and 11 cents. That's the total rent due for this month instead of the 1,155.
Oh, okay. It was adjusted?
You owe less, yeah, because you paid the full month's rent last month, so you're going to pay less this month.
Okay.
And I wanted to tell you, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you told us 1157.88.
Correct.
Which included the fee of $2.83.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So you're paying less that. You're not paying that. It's going to be less than that. It's $917 and 11 cents. So I am not going to process you guys' checks. You guys paid the rent to me on time, but I was letting you know that it's actually less. So you guys might want to divide it amongst, I don't know how you want to do that, but
cool.
I'm not going to,
Yeah.
You understand? So, do you want me to, do you want me to hold on to these checks and somebody come get them, or you want me to put them in I'm going to hold on to them. Okay.
Yeah. I'll come grab them. What time do you get in?
I'm 8 to 5.
Okay. Yeah. I'll come in tomorrow and grab them before I go to work.
Okay. So do you want me to text you go ahead.
Yeah. Can you email us?
Yeah.
The total?
Yes. So that way you guys know what your total is, and that's all that's owed for May, and then it's the full month's rent June, as of June, okay?
Okay. Cool,
okay.
Thanks.
Thank you for calling me back, Luke.
Right. Yeah, of course.
All right, bye. Okay, so I'm literally going through a conversation with a third party that already knows. They already know, okay? This is the entity that's engaged in the pattern of conduct. The light source is over me. This is the reality of what you're engaging in. And I want to be clear, when you are going to the bank and you're cashing your check, how much you get paid by your job, I get direct deposit. The entity is monitoring on my phone what Heather Teal of Human Resources of SCI talking about this, how much I'm getting paid, what that whole negotiation, those are private. There are privacy policies that they are violating while federal stalking is underway as I began this job and was hired on by speaker companies. Heather Teal is engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct as well. And so I want to be clear, all of the entity knows what I'm getting paid. And they also know because my banking on my phone, they're monitoring on my phone. They know how much my direct deposit is every time I get paid. They know what it is that I'm buying, who I'm buying what from, when it's going to be delivered. The entity is monitoring. You saw this already, not only Amazon Prime, but even when they're not delivering to me, you're looking at UPS and FedEx, they're group stalking. I've shown you them engaging in the same P.O.C. even outside of LA, replete with the light source and the engineered light. They're group stalking, period. So you're understanding what I'm just pointing out, a property management company is in violation of existing federal laws regarding privacy policies. They're inherently in violation of them. Luke Powell is a third party who is privy to such private information while they're engaging in the state's criminal system. And this is a whole psychopath. And this is the reality of what you're faced with. You're having conversations with demons, the entity that already knows about what I'm going to tell him. And then you're engaging and feigning ignorance, because when you're really looking and analyzing what they're doing, it's really psychotic. Okay, but this is the secret society. This is the demon possessed entity with acting in concert with LAPD, who knows also, flying over multiple times today and doing even more so as I document the fact that they're going to be federally prosecuted for even more than what they anticipated, and it's even more than what I'm specifically articulating now. I just pointed out another common sense aspect. Oh, you're engaged in federal stalking? Well, with regard to real property and property management and the federal housing program that you're participating in, you're inherently violating that. And all of the entity is subject to having information that is a violation of federal law to have access to, for them to run their eyes across it, whether or not they're group stalking or not. Those federal laws, they're not allowed to violate. You can't consent to what is anybody violating those federal laws. There's no such thing. They're engaged in, and I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because this is what justice requires. This is what you get. All right. And I want you to understand what are psychopaths, the demon possessed, entirely malicious. Having a conversation with somebody, they already know what I'm going to tell them. And he was calling at a specific time based on what I was talking about, which is the entity's pattern of conduct. They do the same thing, communicating a threat by helicopter. Would rather me go on a tangent and talk about the helicopter. Like, oh, here goes another helicopter. They're stalking again. Let me analyze that, rather than talk about the fact that the light source is over the Upland Public Library at 450 North Euclid Avenue in Upland, California, at the same time that it's hovering above my apartment over my head while LAPD is flying over in relevant position. They don't want me to talk about that. Okay, you can cover up the light source for the first half of the day and then show up for the second half of the day. That will never supersede, nor will anybody forget, the fact that you have already engaged in a pattern, and all you have to do is do it one time, because the sun is never going to be rising and setting at the same address like they're doing. This is my apartment, 1806. This is where the sun rises outside the living room window. Outside of my bedroom window above building 1818, that's where the sunset is. Literally from here to here. When I'm outside of my apartment, you saw the light source directly above me at building 1806. I walk down to the office. This is where the light source is, right here. All right. So when I'm at my office from 8 to 5, right in diagonal to the dumpster, this is where it is at the end of the day. And then it's moving this way to be in alignment with my living room window at the end of the day, where it's setting. That's the same property. You're talking about from what is the beginning of the day, 7 o'clock in the morning until after 6 p.m. That is moving literally to be visible through the windows of the same apartment. This is the entity that knows exactly what's going on and any and everything that I say, and so hostile to the fact that I'm laughing at them, because they're so obsessed and they're so defeated with regard to all the ways in which the government is going to be prosecuted for violating all of the privacy rights, not just of the target individual, but federal laws that govern the ways in which this business is supposed to operate, information that the people of the state should not be privy to, but because they're group stalkers and they're engaged in state surveillance and federal stalking, you are inherently engaged in violating these other surrounding federal policies. Right? And you already know that this is already demonstrated. It's already proven through the pattern of conduct itself. So then, this evidence is applicable to the federal laws that you're also violating at the same time. Okay. And that's exactly, let me be clear, flying over me about, 18 times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 times in the day is ongoing corroborating evidence. Not that you need it. Okay, they flew in relevant position to my apartment where the light source was present from the beginning to the end of the day. That was after 5 p.m. That's the P.O.C. right there with regard to the light source. And then they flew for 47 minutes in a circle, demonstrating demon possession. All right, and psychotic, very disturbing behavior, real-time knowledge of the fact that I'm making specific commentary about you flying in a circle, and then you fly in a circle for 47 minutes. Oh yeah, they know exactly what I'm talking about. And they're showing the world the threat, the public safety concern that exists amongst the demon possessed who are, number one, in law enforcement, and number two, engaging in this criminal system as the government, in the shoes of the government, in concert with the people. Psychotic behavior, feigning ignorance, and you know exactly what's going on. This is the same entity that makes up information about the target individual so that they can be kidnapped. While the demons who are stalking you, feigning as police officers, are then engaging in what is fictitious exercise of authority. You don't have any probable cause. You didn't learn about anything. You're obsessively stalking 24/7. Understand the malice of the psychopaths that you're surrounded by. This is indeed a public safety concern. I am documenting what's happening to me. This is relevant to what's happening in this country. And you're talking about a population that are seeking to keep you under surveillance and are very, very exceedingly hostile for no legitimate purpose. No legitimate reason. You're a sex offender. Why are you mad? You're a stalker. What are you mad about? That's a threat to your life. Okay. Again, it is 2:51 p.m. The light source remains over me at what is outside of the management office. This is here. This is my apartment here. Oh, excuse me. This is my apartment here. This is where the sunset is seen through this window over building 18 in the evening. And this is where I'm located right here, where the light source went from over my head in front of my apartment to over my head right here, where the entity is concentrating helicopter activity now. Flying over me, flying all around, and acting in concert while I remain subject to surveillance. And this is where, again, Amazon Prime was crossing path. They went out of their way to cross path and let me see that logo, which is a communication of a threat. All right, they're crossing path right here in relevant position, which is what Alvarado Street is. It's means of crossing path. The people of the state are engaging in massive violation of federal policy, private information shared amongst them. The entities monitoring with communication devices on the venue of the internet. Understand how that is so massive. That is so massive. Okay, literally the government's going to be prosecuted for violating federal laws that it has not even thought of upon exposure of federal group stalking and monitoring. Anyway, I digress here. It's 2:52 p.m. P.O.C.